Hey everybody. Wanted to do this as a video rather than as a blog post because I wanted you to be able to see the emotion and the expressions behind what I'm going to talk about. So over the years, as I've been engaged in a lot of critical analysis of the government, a lot of what I write about is by its very nature negative, right? Because the government is doing a lot of illegitimate things, a lot of evil things, and it is the source of many of the problems that we face. And so as I highlight that, as I discuss it, as I point it out, as I rail against it sometimes, it's been alleged over the years that it comes off as pessimistic and negative. And I think a lot of this stems from the fact that people want to hear what President Benson called sweetness and light. That by and large we are accustomed to hearing things that we like, and that we don't like hearing things that we don't like. And I think that's why we have the media enterprise that we do. We like frivolity, we like superficiality, we like being told non-controversial things, and so we get a media these supposed journalists that don't like to question authority too much. They don't like to be perceived as being overtly critical. And yet, I think that's important, and I think it's important to highlight the abuses so that we can make necessary course corrections in our own lives. But the fact that I don't consistently try and offer a positive spin on what I'm talking about, that I don't always provide or suggest my take on the remedy for the various things that I'm highlighting, leads people to conclude, therefore, that I'm just being pessimistic. And what's funny about that is if anyone knows me, I mean, most of my readers don't know me. They've never met me in person. They don't know who I am. They don't know what my personality is. All they're going off of is what I've written. And if that's all they're going off of, they conclude that it must be the embodiment of my personality. And that's simply not true. And while I've said over the years that I clearly have room for improvement, I mean, I'm not a professional writer. I hated English in school, even college, and I was not very good at it. A lot of this is new to me and is self-taught, and I've grown a lot over the past few years. So I think there's definitely room for improvement for me and for everyone, frankly. But I think it's wrong to conclude that just because I discuss negative things and point out abuses and problems means that that's what I reflect on all day long, and that's what I get upset about, and that I'm upset by my very nature. And I think these things are kind of silly. I'm a positive person. I'm very hopeful. In fact, for those who have listened to the radio segment that I used to do on K Talk, consistently I would say how hopeful I was for the future and discuss the positive things that I saw and think about the opportunities that we have to educate people and to grow and to push this movement forward. But in my writings, I don't focus a lot about that because on each article that I do, it's primarily highlighting a problem or calling out some circumstances or situations that need to be highlighted and addressed because they show an abuse that's occurring or an illegitimate authority that's been usurped. And that's kind of the basis of the articles that I've been working on over the past several years. I think my books are not as critical, they're more analytical. And in that, they do offer some direction and lots of suggestions for how to improve and what the ideal should be. But it's interesting as I look at my effectiveness over the years and the growth in my audience. These concerns have been not significant. A lot of people don't make them, but it has been consistent. And I think that's just a byproduct from the very nature of what I write about. People don't like hearing bad news, which is interesting because you turn on the news and it's all bad news, but it's more circumstantial and it's more situational, right? There's a car crash or there's a rape or whatever, and it doesn't affect us, and it's often the some other part of town that we don't have to deal with other than seeing it. Whereas the things that I discuss are very intimate in that they affect all of us. It is the government that rules over all of us, that taxes all of us. It touches all of us in one way or another. And so when I indict what the state is doing, that's an indictment of the people who support the state in doing that, or who have in the past tolerated, voted for, or otherwise supported it. So I just wanted to put that out there as a video rather than a blog post, because by my very nature, I'm a jovial fellow. I like laughing, and I like jokes, and I like making light of things and having a good time. But in my advocacy online, if all you go off of is that, it might only be a snapshot of who I am. And through social media and other outlets, I've tried to kind of offer more balance of my personality through the things that I post. But engaged in the work that I am, it's hard not to be seen as critical when I'm involved in being critical of what the state is doing. So I'll look for room for improvement in the future to try and balance that and offer hope and a positive angle on what I write about, because I think we do have a lot of opportunity for hope. I think there is reason to be excited about the future and to be hopeful for what lies ahead in our opportunity, even with the staggering size and influence of the state, to be effective in waking people up and spreading the message of liberty and being able to help people on their own educational path as we have been helped along our way. So wanted to offer that up, and have a great day.